On January 24th, 2024, tragedy struck Toledo, Ohio, when 34-year-old and 8-month pregnant Tameisha Price was discovered dead at around 5 a.m. in the 5300 block of Norton Place. Tamisha was getting ready to give birth to a baby girl she had already named Malaysia Leonie Price, but her husband wasn't ready for a child. He requested Tamisha multiple times to get rid of the unborn baby, which she refused. Her life was taken not only by the man she loved, but by the combined efforts of him and his friends in a very shocking manner. This is the heartbreaking story of Tameisha Price. Before we begin, we would love to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Tamisha and everyone affected by the murder on that fateful day. This story takes us all the way to Toledo, Ohio, a city known for its rich history and manufacturing legacy. Toledo, Ohio also faces a higher than average crime rate, with concerns over property crimes like theft and burglary, as well as violent incidents such as shootings and assaults. Certain neighborhoods experience elevated crime levels, making safety a significant concern in parts of the city. And it is in this city, with irregularities in crime rates, that we find the very person of Tameisha Price. Tamisha Jakira Price, affectionately known as Misha, was born on May 22, 1989 in Toledo, Ohio, to Tyler and Stacy Price. Growing up in a supportive family, she was the youngest and only girl of 4 siblings. Tamisha attended Rogers High School and Apostolic Christian Academy. She pursued higher education in the medical field at Herzing University, reflecting her passion for caring for others. But that was not all. Throughout her career, Tamisha worked in roles that showed her dedication to youth and community service. She served as an administrator at Sunbridge Charter and AEE Charter Schools, and as a lead case manager at New Concepts, where she empowered young people to achieve their potential. But Tamisha's passion didn't stop there. It was only the beginning of a life filled with purpose and surprises. A devout Christian, Tamisha actively served in her church community, starting at Pinewood Tabernacle Church before joining Upton United Methodist Church and Life Changes Church. Her love for the arts shone through her involvement in youth choir performances and church activities. Yet, behind her vibrant, busy life was a surprising challenge, one that few could have managed so gracefully. Tamisha entered a significant relationship in her early 20s, filled with hope for a bright future. And as their bond deepened, the relationship brought both joy and challenges. In time, they welcomed their 2 sons, Jaden Keyshawn and Leslie Michael, who became the center of Tamisha's world. While Leslie loved basketball, Jaden found his path in drumming. In fact, Jaden was so good at drumming that his father saw it as an avenue to tap from his talent and bring the best version of him. This they achieved with their frequent music lessons together, with the father being supportive enough to keep the children this busy. And as they also grew older, Tamisha decided to use this opportunity to pursue more profitable ventures that most people could only dream of. She decided to go next level with her love for fashion, shopping, and traveling, and she found the most effective way to showcase her style through content creation.
Hello?
What are you doing?
Who is this?
Don't worry about who it is. I can see you. Enough is enough.
Tameisha seemed to have it all, not until her perfect life came to a halt. As the years passed, the partnership grew strained, and balancing the demands of a troubled relationship with the responsibilities of motherhood tested her resilience. When the challenges became overwhelming, Tameisha made the difficult choice to leave, determined to create a better life for herself and her children. And against the odds, this didn't deter Tameisha, and so she made a bold decision. After the breakup, Tamisha channeled her energy into rebuilding her life. She worked tirelessly to provide for Jaden and Leslie, while continuing her impactful work in education and youth services. Her resolve to create a stable, nurturing environment for her boys showed her resilience, but her journey was far from over. During this time of transition, Tamisha met Paris James, and although his past was marred by mostly police disturbances, their relationship blossomed through shared values and mutual respect. Tamisha didn't allow his past to come between them, and Paris admired Tamisha's strength as a mother and the passion she poured into her community. As their bond deepened, hope returned to Tamisha's life in a way she hadn't expected. Their love grew until late 2023, when Tamisha found herself preparing to welcome a new joy into their lives. She became pregnant with a daughter, and she planned to name her Malaysia Leonie Price. She treated the baby as a blessing that filled her with excitement and dreams for the future. But as she celebrated this new chapter, she could not have foreseen the challenges that lay ahead. We suddenly say the challenges that lay ahead because this was when Tamisha's world finally began to fall apart. Paris wasn't ready to be a father, and he made this pretty evident to Tamisha in the most degrading manner ever. He accused her of cheating on him and questioned the paternity of the child. This was really shocking considering the fact that Tamisha openly expressed the fact that she knew no other man apart from Paris, but not as shocking as what was about to unfold. Tamisha, still excited about her baby and not allowing Paris's assumptions to get to her, decided to hold a baby shower 1 month before her due date. She planned to go all out about it, and since it wasn't her first child, it probably may have raised questions from some people, but still, Tamisha went ahead with her plan, unknown to her what lurked in the dark, waiting for her. While the day was drawing closer, her relationship with Paris became more and more distant, with the pair growing further apart with each passing day, with Paris being unusually angry, and most times for no reason. While Tamisha made her own plans for the baby shower, Paris had his own plans. Paris had a friend named Jerry Scott, who in turn had a girlfriend named Shatwia Triplet, and together, under the leadership of Paris, they all plotted to end Tamisha's life. However, this would not only come to pass, but will do so in a most bizarre manner. On January 24th, 2024, at around 5 a.m., the quiet neighborhood near the 5300 block of Norton Place in Toledo was disturbed by the sound of gunfire, prompting neighbors to seek the aid of police officers. When police arrived, they found 34-year-old Tameisha Price lying unresponsive on the ground with multiple gunshot wounds. Emergency responders tried to save her, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. And it would interest you to know that this wasn't even the most shocking event of that day. The most shocking and heart-wrenching event of that day was the fact that Tamisha's other sons, Jaden and Leslie, had to watch the incident firsthand. But this, in itself, was soon going to prove useful. This is so because it was soon disclosed how the whole incident transpired. On that fateful morning, Paris and Jerry arrived at Tamisha's home shortly before dawn. They had devised a plan to confront her about their relationship issues. As they approached the house, they were armed with handguns. Having discussed their intentions to intimidate Tamisha into submission, their goal was not only to assert control over her, but also to send a message that she could not easily leave them behind. When Tamisha opened the door, a heated argument erupted. Paris accused her of betrayal and threatened her with violence if she did not comply with his demands. As the confrontation escalated, Jerry joined in, using aggressive language that further provoked Tamisha. Feeling cornered and frightened, she attempted to retreat into her home. In a moment of rage, Paris drew his weapon and fired multiple shots at Tamisha as she tried to escape. Jerry, acting as an accomplice, provided cover for Paris, ensuring that no one would intervene during the attack. The gunfire echoed through the quiet neighborhood, leaving residents stunned and terrified, and that was how she was pronounced dead on the scene. The loss of Tameisha Price and her unborn baby, Malaysia Leonie Price, was devastating news that left her family and friends in shock. As the Toledo Police Department launched an investigation, they worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. Eyewitness accounts and evidence from the scene helped piece together the events leading to her tragic death. Within days, 3 suspects were identified: Paris James, Jerry Scott, and Shatwia Triplet. James, Tamisha's boyfriend, faced charges of aggravated murder, while Scott was accused of similar crimes. Triplet, Jerry Scott's live-in girlfriend, was charged with obstructing justice for allegedly providing a false alibi for James and Scott, which investigators later disproved.
Now, 3 suspects have been indicted in the fatal shooting of a pregnant woman. They are accused of the January killing of 34-year-old Tameisha Price. Take a look. According to court documents, a grand jury indicted Paris James and Jerry Scott on several counts of aggravated murder and felonious assault, among other charges. Shawaya Triplett was also indicted on 2 third-degree felony counts of obstructing justice. All 3 suspects are accused of involvement in the homicide of Price, whose unborn child was also killed in the shooting. According to court documents, detectives say Scott did participate in the planning and execution of the plan that resulted in Price's death. Those documents also indicate that Triplett, who detectives said is James's live-in girlfriend, provided an alibi for James that was later proven to be false.
Paris James and Jerry Scott were subsequently indicted on 5 counts of aggravated murder, 4 counts of murder, 1 count of aggravated burglary, 2 counts of felonious assault, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. Court documents revealed that Scott had actively participated in planning and carrying out the actions that led to Tamisha's death. As details unfolded, the question remained, what led to this horrifying series of events? And would justice be served for Tamisha and her unborn child? Tamisha's friends and family revealed tensions in her relationship with James, but the exact details of their conflicts remain unknown. As the indictments were announced, her loved ones experienced a mix of relief and sorrow. Relief that the suspects had been identified, and sorrow over the profound loss of a vibrant young mother. How could this tragedy have been prevented? The news of Tamisha's death sparked conversations about domestic and gun violence in Toledo. Community leaders and advocates began raising awareness and calling for better support for victims. Vigils were held to honor Tamisha's memory, with loved ones sharing stories of her dedication to her children and the community. Could her story inspire change and prevent future tragedies? Tamisha's family stood firm in their pursuit of justice and keeping her memory alive. Friends organized events to support domestic violence awareness, and local charities helping women in similar situations. Will her legacy lead to lasting change? In this story, a man killed his pregnant girlfriend, a tragedy that ended 2 lives. But the next story is an even sadder story about a woman expecting twins who was killed along with both her unborn babies. 3 lives were lost in an instant. This is the story of Darion Burley, a woman who believed she had it all, a loving boyfriend and a bright future. Life seemed perfect, especially after celebrating a gender reveal party for the she was expecting. But on June 29, 2020, that happiness was shattered beyond everyone's wildest expectations. After breakfast with her boyfriend, Darion decided to rest. Out of nowhere, he pulled a gun and shot her in the back of the head, ending her life instantly. As horrifying as this was, what he did next on his way to bury her body was even more shocking. This is the tragic story of Darion Burley. Before we begin, we would also love to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Darion Burley and everyone affected by the murder on that fateful day. We will also uncover chances not taken that would have saved the life of Darion and her unborn twins. This story takes us all the way to Fort Worth, Texas, a city with a rich Western heritage. Fort Worth, Texas has seen fluctuating crime rates over the years. In the 1990s, crime was a significant concern, mirroring national trends, but community efforts and policing strategies helped reduce violent crime by the early 2000s. Recent years have brought challenges with occasional spikes in homicides and property crimes, reflecting population growth and urbanization. And it's in this city that Darion Burley happened to find herself in. Darion Sherelle Burley was born on July 14, 1993 in Fort Worth, Texas, to Olga King Burley and Daryl Burley, where she was the 4th of 6 children in her family. Darion's education was one with lots of highlights, but only a few recorded. She pursued her education at Connor State College in Muskogee, Oklahoma, where she earned an associate's degree. Darion Burley was attending a local community event in Fort Worth, Texas, focused on promoting youth empowerment and education. As an active member of her community, she was excited to engage with others who shared her passion for making a difference. While volunteering at a booth, Darion noticed Maurice Kelso Smith across the way. He was helping out with a basketball clinic for kids, effortlessly demonstrating his skills and encouraging the young athletes. Intrigued by his enthusiasm and charm, Darion decided to approach him during a break. They bonded over their shared passion for community service and youth mentorship. Maurice dreamed of starting a nonprofit for underprivileged youth, while Darion shared her work with local charities. Over the following weeks, they crossed paths at various community events, their connection growing stronger with each encounter. Their shared passion for uplifting their neighborhood brought them closer as they collaborated on projects and spent weekends volunteering side by side. As their bond deepened, they began to envision a future together, built on love and shared dreams. Little did they know, this was only the start of a journey that would bring unexpected twists and turns. The relationship, like every normal relationship, had its ups and downs. However, the pair still found a way to each other on every occasion, proving how committed they were to staying together. And then came the big news. Darion was pregnant with twins. The news brought a mix of shock and excitement, and the couple celebrated with joy. The boy eagerly anticipated the joy of having not just a baby, but two babies. But beneath the happiness, cracks in their relationship began to form, hinting at a darker side soon to emerge. But first, Maurice had a big plan put in place. It was a gender reveal party, organized to celebrate the arrival of their twin sons. The gender reveal party for Darion Burley and Maurice Smith was a joyful celebration held in May 2020, marking the anticipation of their twin boys. Family and friends gathered to share in the excitement, creating a vibrant atmosphere filled with love and hope for the future. Guests were treated to decorations in shades of blue, symbolizing the boys they were expecting. The couple revealed their attention, with Maurice expressing his love and commitment to Darion during the festivities. The event featured a cake that, when cut, revealed the blue frosting inside, confirming the gender of their twins. Darion even went as far as practicing for when her water broke, saying stuff like, "Oh, my water just broke," followed by laughter and cheers that filled the air as everyone celebrated this significant milestone in Darion's life. However, this moment of happiness was tragically overshadowed by the events that would unfold just weeks later. Still, Darion, who had no idea what was coming, continued celebrating the incoming babies with posts such as this, where she was looking for a very good photographer, and her followers recommended many photographers in the comment section of this post. She also had so many promises kept for them. In a real sense, it could be said that these kids were coming into a world already prepared for them. Simply put, they were the most lucky kids yet to be born. However, these kids would never be born. For reasons likely tied to his growing addiction to hard substances, Maurice Smith, a convicted felon prohibited from owning a gun, decided to acquire one through a friend who was legally qualified to purchase it. Perhaps even Maurice couldn't foresee the havoc the weapon would cause, but he bought it anyway. Soon enough, the worst happened. On the evening of June 29, 2020, the atmosphere in the Darion Burley and Maurice Smith home shifted dramatically from the joy of their recent gender reveal party to a scene of unimaginable tragedy. Just weeks after celebrating the impending arrival of their twin boys, the couple found themselves embroiled in a violent confrontation that would end in heartbreak. The day had begun like any other, with Darion excitedly preparing for the arrival of her babies. However, underlying tensions had been building in their relationship. Friends and family had expressed concerns about Maurice's behavior and substance use in the weeks leading up to this fateful night. Despite the anticipation of parenthood, there were signs that all was not well. As evening fell, an argument erupted between Darion and Maurice. Witnesses later recounted hearing raised voices coming from their home, indicating a conflict that escalated quickly. The argument was fueled by Maurice's struggles with anger and addiction, creating a volatile environment. In a sudden and horrifying turn of events, Maurice reached for a gun. In a moment of rage and desperation, he shot Darion in the back of the head. The sound of the gunshot shattered the quietness of the night, leaving no room for doubt about the severity of the situation. Darion fell instantly, her life extinguished in an act of violence that would also claim the lives of her unborn twins. The tragedy unfolded in mere moments, transforming what should have been a time of joy into an irreversible nightmare. After the shooting, Maurice Smith, desperate to cover his tracks, fled the scene in a panic. Knowing his actions had changed everything, he tried to distance himself from the crime. He drove away from the Fort Worth, Texas home, adrenaline pumping until he reached Mansfield, Texas. There, in a moment of desperation, he committed a carjacking at gunpoint. He stole a Honda Civic from a woman, threatening her with a firearm before speeding off in her vehicle. The victim later described the terror she felt as Maurice fled the scene, a scene so horrific that even the police, upon discovering it later, wished they hadn't seen it. Meanwhile, police were alerted to both the carjacking and the shooting. When officers arrived at Darion's home, they found her lifeless body slumped in the passenger seat of her car, parked outside. The scene was devastating. Darion, an expectant mother, was still dressed in the clothes she had chosen that day, a heart-breaking reminder of the life she had been preparing for. Between her body and the console lay a crumpled sonogram picture of her unborn twins, a haunting symbol of dreams that would never be realized. Detectives quickly began piecing together the timeline of events, where they made some utterly unbelievable discoveries. They discovered that Maurice had returned to his apartment after committing both crimes. In an attempt to cover his tracks, he tried to clean up evidence inside the stolen car and destroy any incriminating items that could link him to Darion's murder. However, investigators were already closing in on him. As police conducted their investigation, they found blood-stained clothing discarded in Maurice's apartment. They also located the murder weapon, a gun that had been purchased illegally just a day prior to the shooting. This evidence painted a clear picture of premeditated violence and raised questions about Maurice's mental state leading up to that fateful night. Maurice Smith was arrested and charged with capital murder for the deaths of Darion and their unborn twins. His trial began several months later and drew significant media attention due to the shocking nature of the crime and its impact on the community. During the proceedings, prosecutors presented evidence showing a pattern of abuse in Maurice's behavior toward Darion. Friends and family members testified about their concerns for her safety in the weeks leading up to her death, recounting instances where they witnessed Maurice's aggressive behavior and substance abuse. The courtroom was filled with emotion as Darion's family members spoke about their profound grief and loss, the dreams they had for Darion as a mother, and how her absence would forever alter their lives. The emotional weight of their words resonated deeply with everyone present. Ultimately, Maurice Smith was found guilty of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict brought some measure of closure to Darion's family, but could never fully alleviate their pain or replace what had been lost. In March 2024, the verdict in Maurice Smith's trial brought a mixture of sorrow and reflection for Darion Burley's family and community. In court, her family expressed their immense grief through victim impact statements, describing the deep void left by her loss. One family member captured the sentiment, saying, "There are no winners here," emphasizing the irreversible consequences of Maurice's actions. They spoke of the dreams and future Darion and her unborn twins would never have, highlighting the life stolen from them. The tragedy went far beyond her family. Friends remembered Darion's joy and excitement about her becoming a mother, sharing their heartbreak over her love for her twins. Many voiced anger toward Maurice Smith, blaming him for destroying not only Darion's life, but the potential lives of her children. The community united to honor her memory through vigils and memorials, creating spaces for collective mourning and support. The murder sparked a renewed focus on domestic violence awareness in Fort Worth. Advocates spoke out about the warning signs in Darion's relationship with Maurice, signs that friends and family had tragically noted in the weeks before her death. Assistant District Attorney Kate Hinojosa emphasized the importance of recognizing and addressing such red flags. This led to discussions about improving resources for domestic violence victims to ensure they receive timely help. The case also ignited conversations about mental health and substance abuse. His actions served as a stark reminder of the dangers posed by unresolved mental health struggles. Darion Burley's death became a rallying point for advocacy, inspiring efforts to prevent similar tragedies. Her story highlighted the urgent need for stronger support systems for abuse victims, and raised awareness about the silent dangers many face behind closed doors. Through vigils, fundraising, and increased community efforts, her legacy now stands as a call to action against domestic violence and the importance of protecting those in vulnerable situations. In light of this tragedy, one can't help but wonder what caused the escalating tension between Maurice and Darion, leading to such a fatal ending. For a couple that once seemed happy and resilient, the breaking point must have been significant. Could it have been Maurice's deepening substance abuse, or was there something more beneath the surface? It also raises the difficult question: what could Darion have done differently to survive, even for just one more day? Perhaps leaving sooner or seeking help could have made a difference. Yet, hindsight doesn't change the outcome, and her story serves as a somber reminder of how quickly circumstances can spiral out of control. What are your thoughts? Could anything have prevented this tragedy? I'm leaving you with 4 more crime stories that are more shocking than what you just watched. And by the way, if you like the way we bring to you stories or you learned something new today, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. As always, remember to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Perhaps someone learns from your experience or advice. I will talk to you again in another video. It's bye for now.